The air inside the family gathering felt thick. Tension crackled like static in the family gathering, ready to ignite. I stepped in, and warmth evaporated. "She'll get nothing," my sister Margaret Carter proclaimed, her voice slicing through the icy silence. Heart racing, I felt her words hit like a punch, a reminder of where I stood, or rather, where I didn't. My grip tightened around my son Ethan's hand. His small fingers curled around mine, warm but trembling, a flicker of innocence in a storm of betrayal. I forced a smile down at him, thin and shaky. He always knew. The unspoken message hung heavy in the air. I wasn't welcome. I wasn't family. Just a loose end they were eager to snip away. Margaret held court at the head of the long dining table, impeccably dressed in sleek business attire. Her hair was pulled back tightly, a bun that screamed control. Her lipstick gleamed sharp red, a silent battle cry that warned me I'd stepped into a war I wasn't prepared for. Then, the voice I dreaded most sliced through the gathering. Uncle Tom Harrison, my father's older brother, leaned back casually, fingers laced behind his head, that smug smirk stretching across his face. "Even her kid knows she's worthless," he laughed, eyes trained on Ethan like he was less than human. My heart sank as Ethan lowered his gaze to the floor, absorbing the disdain meant for me. I could feel the eyes of my cousins, the neighbors, the family friends I hadn't seen in years. All of them had picked their sides, and it was clear I was outnumbered. My throat felt parched, the atmosphere thick with the scent of stale coffee, mingled with dust and whatever cloying perfume Margaret had chosen, too sweet for the bitter air. I led Ethan to the farthest chair at the end of the long mahogany dining table, seeking some distance from the pack. The chair creaked under my weight as I settled in. Ethan climbed up beside me, his small leg swinging above the floor, a bright spark amidst the shadows of family strife that loomed just beyond our reach. His hands folded in his lap like he was trying to disappear. Margaret Carter turned her head slowly toward me. When our eyes met, she smiled, but there was no warmth in it, just pity soaked in poison. "You know this is pointless, right?" my sister said, her voice smooth and cold. "Father rewrote the will, cut you out completely, said you were dead to him." I didn't respond. I couldn't. My tongue felt heavy in my mouth, useless. I just nodded slightly as if that showed I understood. But inside, I was screaming. Why did I even come? Deep down, I had hoped for something. A note, a line, a sign that he remembered me. Something that could make sense of why I was back in this stifling family gathering, surrounded by people who had made it clear they'd buried me long before they buried him. Just as I was about to stand and flee, to escape before they started carving up the estate like vultures, the door creaked open. Mr. Connor, my father's attorney, entered the family gathering, clutching a thick folder beneath his arm. He looked exactly the same, neatly pressed, tired eyes, a face that revealed nothing. The family gathering fell silent. Everyone sat up a bit straighter. This was it. I braced myself for humiliation. I came expecting nothing, and I'd leave with exactly that. Or so I thought, because what no one in that family gathering knew, not Margaret, not Tom Harrison, not even me, was that my son Ethan had brought something with him, and with one simple sentence he would unravel everything they thought they knew. "You forgot the video." My heart raced. It had been 8 years since I last stepped foot in a family gathering like this with my family. 8 years since I packed up the life they said I didn't deserve, took Ethan, just 2 at the time, and left without looking back. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Every conversation with my father, Charles, ended in silence or shouting. Every family gathering was like walking barefoot across broken glass, each shard reminding me of my worthlessness. As I glanced at Ethan, there was an unexpected spark in his eyes. Did he realize what was at stake? They had no idea that he was my anchor, my last hope. Just moments before, I'd felt like a ghost trapped in a family graveyard. Now, with Ethan's words ready to surface, I could almost taste freedom. But as I looked back at Margaret and Tom, the tension was a palpable force, threatening to suffocate me all over again. Would this video change everything, or would it just pull me deeper into their dark games? The air felt electric, charged with uncertainty, and there, in that moment, I knew the real battle was just beginning. I stood there, the scent of stale cigar smoke wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket, memories of fury and regret tangled in the air. It was ironic, really. This gathering was supposed to celebrate the end of an era, yet all I felt was the weight of ghosts I thought I had escaped. 3 days after my father's funeral, an envelope appeared. No note, just the time and place scrawled in Mr. Connor's formal hand. Was it a mistake? A cruel joke? But then I saw Ethan Harris at my side, his innocent eyes steady, and I knew we had to go. "Mom, we should go," he whispered, unshaken and resolute. How could a 10-year-old carry such wisdom? Sometimes I swore he saw through people's facades in ways I still struggled to grasp. I decided on the plain black dress I hadn't worn since my own mother's funeral, while he picked out a neat button-up. As I braided his hair, my hands trembling, he flashed me a smile. "You look beautiful." Little did he know, beneath that facade I was crumbling, heartsick at the thought of facing those who had banished me from their lives like I was dust beneath their shoes. The memories came rushing back. Margaret Carter, the flawless daughter who stayed and cared, while I was branded the runaway. Julia, the coward. Julia abandoned the family. Those words echoed, piercing through layers of hurt. My father had shut the door on me without a second thought when I left him that day, holding Ethan Harris in a suitcase. The one person who was supposed to shelter me from life had erected a wall. And Tom Harrison, God, he was just like my father, always condescending, a smug sneer ready at every family gathering, another echo of a cruel past. As I stepped into the family gathering, the tension thickened. I could feel it twisting around us. Was this moment a catalyst for freedom, or was I just stepping back into the snare? Ethan Harris's small hand clutched mine tightly, cutting through the fog. I was a ghost here, yet he felt so vibrant. Suddenly, I was aware of the crackle in the air, old emotions sparking to life. Then Mr. Connor entered, holding a thick folder, and silence draped like a heavy shroud. I braced myself. I expected nothing. But Ethan was about to drop the bombshell. "You forgot the video." My heart jolted. It had been 8 long years since I last faced this familiar strain. 8 years of silence, tears, and unanswered questions. And now, Ethan Harris's words hung there, electric and raw. Did he know he was my beacon? As our family stared, confusion shadowing their faces, I could almost taste the promise of freedom and acceptance. But Margaret and Tom Harrison stood resolute, a tangible threat in their eyes. Would this video crack their control, or would it draw me back into their twisted games? The air was charged. The real battle was only just beginning. The family gathering simmered with tension, thick enough to slice through. Sounds faded into a heavy silence, the scent of rain wafting in from the open window as sunlight struggled through the tight curtains, illuminating uneasy faces. Ethan Harris, my son, glanced around, his pulse racing. Each heartbeat echoed, confronting the weight we both carried. Shadows twisted off the walls. Uncle Tom's smirk widened, a silent taunt. Just as I thought of steadying my breath, Mr. Connors met my gaze, his eyes alive with anticipation. Would this be the moment everything unraveled? Words of betrayal and loyalty hung in the air like a bad perfume. Family ties felt more like shackles, like the rehearsed script in Margaret Carter's head, a weapon she wielded unapologetically. I had stepped away, crafting a quiet life for Ethan Harris, a sanctuary of laughter amidst chaos. Yet a flicker of hope lingered. Had father regretted what he'd done? It was foolish, yet part of me needed to believe. So, as I opened the envelope, I arrived at the gathering, heart in throat, only to find myself surrounded by hard stares and smug smiles, the sharpness of their disdain cutting deeper than I expected. Ethan Harris didn't say a word since we sat. His tiny hand gripped mine. The calm in his eyes unnerved me. What was he waiting for? The weight of his unspoken question pressed against us, thick like fog. Mr. Connors cleared his throat, a sound that echoed ominously in the charged atmosphere. He flipped open the folder, and each crinkle sent shivers down my spine. "Just get through this," I whispered, trying to hold on to my fragile strength. But Ethan Harris sensed something larger than grief within himself. Just before the firm voice began reading my father's will, I leaned back, willing myself to remain composed. Each pause, each turn of the page, felt like an eternal countdown, a desperate hope brewing beneath my surface. He wouldn't say my name. Surely this was just another bureaucratic trap. Yet with each page turn, my heartbeat quickened, bracing for a miracle that never showed. "To my daughter, Margaret," he droned. The words were a slap, and I felt the weight of Margaret Carter's triumph, heavy as an anchor. But perhaps, just maybe, Ethan Harris would show them what they never expected. Would he peel away their layers of control? The air thickened with unuttered threats. The real battle had just begun. The air in the family gathering felt electric, thick with resentment and cigar smoke. I could almost hear the ghosts of laughter echoing off the walls, a distant memory now swallowed by a suffocating silence. Tom Harrison leaned back, arms crossed, surveying the scene like a smug ruler admiring his conquest. His confidence wrapped around him, sharp and condescending, as he let slip the names of the beneficiaries. The lake property to my brother Rick, my nephew Paul getting the vintage car collection, the same Paul who once locked me out of my own family gathering just to watch me cry. I bit down hard on the inside of my cheek, fighting back tears that burned like acid. Was I invisible here? Then came the moment I dreaded. As previously declared, my daughter Julia will not receive a portion of this estate. The words struck me straight in the chest, as cold and final as a slam of a door. My heart raced as Ethan Harris squeezed my hand beneath the dining table, his little fingers grounding me as I fought to stay afloat in this emotional storm. Everyone's eyes turned away from me, whispers drifting like smoke. "Told you," Margaret Carter breathed, her voice smooth and cutting, each word designed like a dagger. Uncle Tom added, louder than needed, "It takes a certain kind of person to walk away from her own father." Their laughter reverberated in the silence, mocking. I stared down at the intricate wood grain of the dining table, which twisted and spiraled like my thoughts. It was easier to focus on its chaotic beauty than to confront the disdainful stares. Inside, I could hear my voice echoing, flat, hollow. Why did I come? Why did I think he'd remember me? The weight of rejection pressed down, heavy, as I fought the urge to disappear completely. If only Ethan Harris could see them for who they truly were. But the thought faded as quickly as hope had arrived. The atmosphere crackled with tension, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Ethan Harris's steady gaze pierced through the silence, wrapping the moment in a fragile anticipation. The faint scent of coffee clung to the cool air, heightening the stakes. An envelope rustled in Ethan Harris's hands, a sound that felt almost like a heartbeat echoing in the quiet, an unspoken challenge to the family facade. He hesitated for a fraction of a second, his fingers trembling slightly. With a deep breath, he opened the crumpled envelope, revealing its secrets like fragile glass breaking in the air. Suddenly, the family gathering transformed into a battlefield, with Margaret Carter's sharp intake of breath and Tom Harrison's fidgeting on one side, and Ethan Harris's quiet strength on the other. "Don't forget the video," Ethan Harris declared, his voice cutting through the simmering tension like a sharp blade. The family gathering froze, each pair of eyes darting between them. An electric gasp hung in the air, My heart raced. What video? With unwavering resolve, Ethan Harris reached into his backpack, pulling out a small white envelope. It bore my name, accompanied by my father's unmistakable handwriting. For the attorney, only if it gets ugly. A chill washed over me. And, oh, it had gotten ugly. Ethan Harris, where did you get that? I struggled to ask, confusion swirling in my mind. But Ethan Harris wasn't looking at me. He was focused ahead, his determination palpable. Grandpa gave it to me, he replied, the day we visited him. Just me and him. His words hit me like a jolt. I remembered that day, letting him go alone for the first time to my father's house. I hadn't realized they even spoke. May I? Mr. Connor's voice broke through, and Ethan Harris handed over the envelope without hesitation. The entire family leaned forward, the tension so thick it felt suffocating. Margaret Carter squinted, disbelief dancing in her eyes, while Tom's smug demeanor faltered. Ethan Harris, my sweet boy, was turning the tide. Would he finally peel away their layers of control? A simmering battle was brewing, and there was no hiding from the truth any longer. Shifted in his seat, straightening up for the first time. The silence wrapped around us, its weight palpable. Ethan Harris's hands trembled as the envelope tore open, each sound echoing like a fading heartbeat. Inside was a small, unremarkable USB drive, but my pulse quickened, as if it were a ticking grenade ready to explode. Connor's brow furrowed, a mixture of curiosity and dread etched on his face. He pulled out a note, reading my father's handwriting, eyes scanning it carefully. In that moment, the calm facade cracked just enough for me to glimpse the storm brewing beneath. Everyone, Connor said, his voice lowered. There's a video message from Charles Thomas. It was recorded before the final version of his will. He sealed it with instructions to play it only if things got contentious. His gaze flicked to Margaret, her expression frozen, and Tom, who had suddenly lost his smug air. This is ridiculous, Margaret scoffed, her controlled demeanor faltering. Tom leaned in, his voice sharper. We don't even know what's on that thing. It could be fake. Connor raised a hand. It's timestamp authenticated. I recognize the handwriting and signature. I'm legally bound to play it. A tense silence fell as he plugged the USB into a sleek black laptop on the desk beside him. The screen flickered to life, transitioning into a stark black frame. One word illuminated the screen. Play. The air shifted, charged with invisible electricity. No one dared to move or speak. My heartbeat drummed in my ears. My fingers gripped the arms of my chair as if they'd anchor me to this reality. I fought the urge to float away into the anxiety swirling in my chest. Why would Father leave a video? What could he possibly want to say now, after everything? Ethan Harris remained calm, eyes locked on the screen as though he already knew what was coming. Margaret turned a ghostly shade of pale, her lips a tight line of disbelief. Tom stopped chewing his cigar, a blend of confusion and concern etched across his face. I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. I wanted to run, to cry, to scream, but more than anything, I felt a burning need for clarity, for the truth I had long been denied. With a deep breath, Connor pressed play. The tension in the family gathering surged as we held our breaths, ready to unravel the secrets woven in the fabric of our family. The screen flickered, casting a soft blue glow on everyone's faces as the voice of my father filled the air, one I hadn't expected, reshaping everything we thought we knew. What skeletons lay hidden beneath layers of manipulation? Would the unearthing of these buried alliances challenge Margaret and Tom in ways they never anticipated? The moment of truth was upon us. The tension in the dim living family gathering was palpable. The scent of rain lingered through the slightly open window, mingling with the scent of stale coffee. Family photographs lined the walls, snapshots of happier days, each holding memories that now felt so distant. As the conversation buzzed with a mix of nervous laughter and forced pleasantries, Ethan's gentle demeanor served as a calming balm amidst the chaos. Suddenly, the screen of a sleek black laptop came to life. The atmosphere shifted, shocking everyone as the image of Margaret Carter flickered onto the screen. Her poised smile felt almost jarring against the tension that crackled in the air. When she spoke, it was as if a chilling wind swept through the family gathering. But that moment was just the beginning. As they heard her voice, the narrative flipped, discovering a truth that would shatter their understanding of family loyalty and allegiance. I wanted to know when Connor hit the spacebar. The screen froze momentarily before revealing him. My father, older, thinner, seated at his desk in that navy sweater I gifted him for his last birthday, the one I'd doubted he ever wore. His hands were folded, his tired expression grounded and real. He looked straight into the camera. I held my breath, captivated by the familiarity of his presence that felt both comforting and agonizing. "Hi, Julia," he began. The weight of those two words hung in the air. He looked older than I remembered. His skin stretched thin, a once proud posture softened. But this was still my father, Charles Thomas, at that worn oak desk I could picture so vividly, like a snapshot from my childhood. "If you're watching this, I'm gone, and I'm guessing things didn't go well at the reading." His hands clasped tightly, fingers twitching nervously, a habit we both shared. "I didn't expect peace between you and the family." There was an honesty in his tone, a vulnerability that cut through the tension like a sharp knife. "I know what they think of you, what I said about you." My breath caught. I felt Ethan's curious gaze on me, but I couldn't look away from the screen. I had believed Margaret Carter's twisted narrative. I had let Tom mock my pain and never once considered their perspective. "I believed you left because you didn't care," he continued, voice thick with regret. "I didn't ask questions. I didn't listen." The weight of his words hung like a lingering echo in the air. Margaret shifted in her chair, a sharp reminder of her uncomfortable presence. My father's voice cracked, deep emotion surfacing. "I thought being strong meant being proud, that if you walked away, it was betrayal. But strength is showing up. It's protecting your child, and you did that." In that moment, I understood what had been lost, and what was at stake. Would uncovering the truth prompt a change in this fractured family? Could his words compel Margaret and Tom to reflect on their actions, pushing against a dark legacy of manipulation? The moment of reckoning had finally arrived. My vision blurred as memories flooded in. I met Ethan one quiet afternoon when we were alone, just the two of us. The kid didn't talk much, but when I asked about you, he simply said, "My mom is the safest place in the world." That hit hard. My hand flew to my mouth. "I lost you, Julia. I see that now. I lost my daughter because I couldn't stop being right long enough to love you the way you deserved. But I won't let my last act be pushing you away again." He cleared his throat, steadying himself, locking eyes with the camera. "I changed the will." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Someone's chair creaked. Rick, probably. I caught Margaret muttering something, but her voice was drowned out by the pounding in my chest. I was too focused on my father's voice echoing in the stillness. "I left the house to you and Ethan. The savings, the retirement fund. It's all yours. And there's a college trust for Ethan. I know it doesn't fix what I broke, but I want you to have the peace I couldn't give you when I was alive." He paused, leaning in closer, his gaze intense. "If they're angry, let them be angry. You earned this. You lived through it all and never stopped being a mother. That's more than I ever managed." A lump formed in my throat, swelling so large it felt like I couldn't breathe. "I'm proud of you. I love you, Julia. Always did. I just didn't know how to show it." Then, just before the screen flickered to black, he whispered, "Take care of my grandson. Tell him thank you." The screen went dark, no music, no transition, just silence. A holy stillness enveloped me. Chairs squeaked. Someone sniffled, but I couldn't move. I sat there, hand over my mouth, tears streaming down my face. It felt like something I hadn't even known I was carrying had finally been lifted, after years of noise, blame, exile, silence. He finally heard me, and in that quiet, a question lingered in the air. What now? Would this revelation guide me back to a love long lost, or pull us deeper into the chaos? The family gathering hummed with an unsettling kind of stillness. Silence wrapped around us like a thick fog, clinging to the walls like dust. I closed my eyes, letting memories drift through my mind. The sweet, warm scent of my grandmother's kitchen, the place where laughter spun among the steam of fresh bread. But now, beneath the harsh flicker of fluorescent lights, remnants of arguments and divided loyalties clung to us like a desperate echo. Ethan Harris's tiny hand nestled in mine offered warmth, a small lifeline against the cold indifference that clotted the air. My heart tightened, not just from the love we were desperate for, but the ever-elusive acceptance. I could taste the sharpness of tension as Margaret Carter shifted her weight in her chair, the noise cutting through the thick air like a knife. What used to be a safe haven had morphed into an emotional battlefield. As memories flooded back, I remembered the day I met Ethan in a quiet moment. Just the two of us. His words, simple yet profound, struck me deep. My mom is the safest place in the world. Those words echoed in my chest and it hit me. I lost Julia. I lost her because I clung too tightly to rightness when all she needed was love. Suddenly, my father's voice broke through the silence, heavy yet steady. I changed the will. The gasp that erupted felt electric, a jolt of recognition. Tom Harrison, that smug uncle, looked as if he had swallowed sour lemons. I left the house to you and Ethan, the savings, the retirement fund. It's all yours, he continued. With each word, I felt a weight lift. You earned this. You lived through it all and never stopped being a mother. Tears slipped down my cheeks, unbidden. How could a simple act of love unravel so much pain? I love you, Julia. Always did. I just didn't know how to show it. And then, darkness. In that instant, time stilled. The family gathering felt suspended, each person stricken silent. No one moved. Not Margaret, not Rick, not even the cousins who had turned their backs. The footage of my father's truth hung in the air like a ghost, haunting and clarifying all at once. Ethan Harris squeezed my hand, his innocence still intact despite the storm swirling around us. He smiled, that sweet, knowing smile as if he'd been waiting for a truth that finally found its voice. I leaned down, pressing a kiss to his head, overwhelmed by emotions I struggled to name. Love, relief, grief, all entwined. Margaret broke the silence first, her chair scraping violently against the floor as she stormed out, the bag she clutched trembling in her hands. I could feel her rage, but for me, it felt like freedom. Even Rick, armed with sarcasm, sat motionless, resigned to his own defeat. As they trickled out, one by one, avoiding eye contact, I recognized a shift. Some offered furtive nods, respect, pity, maybe a mix of both. Soon, the only remnants of our chaotic family were just me, Ethan Harris, and Mr. Connor, who approached with renewed softness in his voice. "There will be paperwork," he said gently, "but everything's in order." I nodded, stunned into a peaceful silence this time. Something had finally settled into place. I looked down at Ethan Harris still holding my hand, his gaze filled with a child's understanding, and for the first time in a long while, I felt the weight of belonging. What would we do next? Would this revelation guide us towards healing, or would the chaos still threaten to pull us apart? Only time would unveil the answers, but for now, in this moment, we were together. And that, I realized, was everything. I was the strongest person in the world. At least, that's what Ethan Harris believed. But it was he who saved me. He held that envelope like it was just a piece of paper. not the truth that could change everything. We lingered in that family gathering. Why? Maybe I needed time to breathe. In that moment, I felt like I belonged. I could hear my father's voice in my head. "I'm proud of you." 3 simple words I thought I'd never hear. Words I needed more than I dared to admit. Years of silence weighed on me, blamed, erased. But now, I was seen, heard, remembered. I glanced at Ethan Harris again. "Thank you," I whispered. He tilted his head, confused. "For what?" "For being braver than me," I replied. "For holding on to what matters." He smiled, innocent yet wise. "I just wanted you to hear him." That truth shifted everything. Once the storm of our chaotic family had passed, peace settled in the family gathering like a soft rain. It's funny how truth works. It doesn't come when you want it, but when it does, it changes everything. So no, I didn't walk out of that gathering broken. I walked out holding my son's hand. My father's words echoed in my chest. I emerged whole, and that silence? It finally meant something. If this story spoke to you, if you've ever felt overlooked or misjudged, remember, you are not invisible. The truth may take time, but it always finds its way to light. There's so much more to tell, stories that resonate deeply and heal wounds. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never forget your voice matters.